Good morning, everybody. This is Tim, the founder of the Jacks of All Trades, here on the Ask the Jacks platform, here to answer questions for anybody that may be an investor, a homeowner, somebody trying to start new in the construction world, or maybe somebody who's been in the construction or handyman game for a while and looking for a way to better their business or expand their knowledge. My name is Tim, and I've been doing this in contracting my entire life. I think I picked up my first paintbrush for a paintbrush contractor when I was like 15 years old. Now I'm licensed in several states as a general contractor in the Northwest. I'm a licensed journeyman electrician in the state of Washington, licensed electrical administrator, licensed mobile home installer. We have had crews all over the country doing all kinds of different things, from mortgage field services to commercial maintenance, and as well as building, new construction, repair. We call ourselves the Jacks of all trades because I have employees that are journeymen in all kinds of fields. So our company literally does everything from fixing the 7-Eleven light fixtures to building new custom homes to additions to concrete to whatever, and most of the stuff we do in-house. So I've been doing this a long time. I've learned a lot of things. I've helped a lot of new guys go out on their own and build their companies as well, and some of this great advice I'd like to just pass on to you guys. And so here we are. And the question I get all the time is, what's the difference between a handyman or a contractor? I get a ton of phone calls every week saying that people were looking for us and they found us under the handyman setting when they call Google, or they Google our name. And handyman is okay. It's great. It has great perks and it has great backups. And there's some things on there that will, for a one-man show or a small team, they can do very well with. But there's also some drawbacks to being a handyman or hiring a handyman. So first off, handyman licenses are different than a general contractor's license. A handyman is limited, to be honest, in a lot of ways. So in Washington State, where I'm based out of, a handyman can only work on a project up to a certain size. They can't do anything that requires more than a specialty or any kind of specialty license, and they usually can't even pull a permit. You can't pull a permit to build a deck or whatever. So that is a huge drawback to hiring a handyman. Another drawback can also be that in Washington State and other states, there's a cap. There's how much money you can do at a single address. This is really the biggest drawback of starting a handyman service versus a contracting service. It's a huge drawback because you can't come in and say, hey, can you remodel my kitchen? Well, if you're going to remodel that kitchen, even if the homeowner buys all of the material on their own credit card, but you're going to be there a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, doing new floors, installing new cabinets, setting new countertops, or whether or whatever, generally speaking, you're going to break, I think it's a $2,600 cap in the state of Washington. It changes pretty regularly. And other states have different limits. So that's kind of a big deal. And you probably won't ever get busted, but if for some reason in Washington, if L&I or the CCB in Oregon, or if whatever, or anybody from a state agency decides to audit your company for whatever reason, and they find that you were doing this, you could get yourself in trouble. Along with this, the other thing is a lot of insurances for handyman work will only allow you to do up to certain things as well. They only have certain dollar amounts they allow you to do, and that is a big deal. It's a real big deal. Because if you're not insured for something and something goes wrong, and generally handymen are not an LLC of any sort, so they're not protected. So if they're outside of the scope of the insurance, they hook up a sink or a faucet or something, and it starts to leak, causes damage, you can be cashed out as a homeowner hiring a handyman. However, it goes both ways, because most general contractors have to have specialty licenses in a lot of states, like in Washington State, in Oregon, and in Idaho. You can't have a handyman or a contractor hook up a light switch, install a new set of plugs, change out a GFI. Technically, you have to be a licensed electrician. Hey, we're just going to rewire the dishwasher real quick and put in a plug so it has a pigtail. That's not okay. Same goes for plumbing. There's a lot of specialty contractors that are out there that only do flooring or whatever, but in Washington State and several other states, you are not allowed to pull a toilet. That's plumbing, and it's against the law, and you could get in trouble if you get caught doing it for some reason. So these things and what you're allowed to do and not do as a handyman or a contractor really plays in. The difference between in most of these cases is handymen don't know. A handyman doesn't know the rules like a contractor does, because I'm licensed in Oregon, and you have to take a test in that state. It's not like Washington or Texas where you can just go in and pay for a business license or pay some amount of money for a license and bond or whatever and be licensed and insured to work. You have to actually go through and take a test. And so there are some of those things. And L&I, you have to go through and set up special things to be a contractor. That does allow you to have some of that knowledge. However, I will say in every state I've gone through, ones that have tests and one that doesn't have tests for their licensing, nobody really spells this stuff out really clearly. You really have to do the homework yourself, or get on the phone with, in Washington, it's L&I, or get on the phone with one of your CCB or whoever your local licensing agency is and ask them, hey, why can't I, or what is this guy allowed to do? Or go on and find your local revised code. In Washington, it's the WAC or the RCWs. Oregon has a version. Everybody has their own version. Some other things to know the differences between a handyman and a contractor is generally a handyman's not allowed to have employees, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. In Washington state, a handyman can have him and then whoever, if there's another owner, like usually it's like a husband and wife team or husband and son or whatever it is, whatever the dynamic is, they're the only people that can work under a handyman contractor's license. So if I am opening a business and it's just me, a one-man show, and I want to do some touch-up paint, maybe fix some eaves, you can't really do siding because that's technically construction, but if you want to do minor repairs around the house, hang doors, fix trim, or like you get a job as a subcontractor for an apartment complex doing maintenance work, and you get going in and doing apartment turns, stretching carpet, fixing floors, patching holes in drywall, that kind of stuff, hanging mirrors or whatever, then a handyman license can work really well for that stuff because it's all you need. You don't need any more than that. Insurances tend to be cheaper for handymen as well. But if you're hiring a handyman and you're going to hire him to build your deck, which is questionable depending on what state you're in, if they can even do. But let's say you hire a guy that has a handyman contractor's license and he installs that deck. It's usually him or maybe one other person. And if there is any other people on there, they're probably under the table or they're not legit, which could put you at risk if somebody gets hurt. A lot of the times it usually works out, but that doesn't mean that it's the proper way to do it. And if you want your homeowner's insurance to cover something, it has to be done by a licensed contractor. And a handyman contractor, if it's within the parameters of your state, can do it. But you want to make sure that as a homeowner or as an investor or somebody who is trying to get these properties fixed or just live in them and make your home a better place, you got to make sure that your insurance is going to cover any of the work that's done in case a tree falls on your deck, somebody falls off your deck, it falls off the house, or there's some other natural disaster. Up here in the Northwest, we get tons of wind and tons of snow, so it can bring things down quick. And so you want to make sure that stuff is covered. If you hire a contractor to do this stuff, like my company, we have several employees. At any given time, we run between 8 and 20 employees usually. And so if we show up, it's usually in force, and we can build a deck in 5-6 days, depending on the size. We can build it in 2 days sometimes. Where a handyman guy is going to come in and he's going to work the hours he's going to work, and it could take, a couple weeks. Some pros to hiring a handyman, though, are generally they're cheaper. They don't charge as much. They don't have as much overhead. They don't have to pay L&I. They don't have to pay, or any of the taxes required to workman's compensation in some states. They don't have as much overhead. They have one truck running, one car insurance, one business insurance. So yeah, they can be a lot cheaper, but they're covered with restrictions. So you just got to pick your project. And when you're looking these guys up, when you go onto your Google and you hit Home Advisor or Porch or whatever it is you're using to search, and you're looking up for a handyman or a contractor, you need to make sure that you are understanding what the scope of your project is when you get there and what the limitations are. Handymen tend to not be as busy as well, so you can usually get a handyman in. I know right now, everywhere I call, everywhere it is, there's just not enough contractors to get the work done. Everybody's got a refinance project for a remodel or an addition, or they want to build a gazebo in their backyard, or they want to pour 1,000 feet of stamped concrete or whatever, and that's great, or install a hot tub, but they don't have enough. There's not enough people to do it. So you get these handyman guys on there and you're like, yeah, let's go for it. But they're not always legit. Well, it's not always that they're not always legit, but they don't always have the knowledge to do what it is they're coming to do, or they've helped their old boss build it and they don't know. So you really got to do your research and make sure that, whatever it is you're hiring them for, whatever your project may be, that it's important that you understand exactly what it is you need to do, or exactly what it is that needs to be completed, and what it is you're wanting to do, and what may happen throughout. Because if you have a handyman in there replacing floors, then you find out there's some subfloor damage. In some areas, subfloor would be okay. In other areas, it wouldn't be. And so, or you trace it all the way back and find out the dishwasher's been leaking for 20 years. Or we were in one house, the craziest insurance claim, but somebody had piped a dryer into the wall, but never piped it outside. And 25 years later, the lady figured it out. It had completely rotted out her entire kitchen, the entire wall. We had to completely rebuild it, ruined the hardwood, ruined the cabinets, ruined everything, and we had to fix it. A handyman gets into a situation like that, and they wouldn't be able to technically be able to fix the framing damage, at least in Washington State and in Oregon, as far as I can tell, at least. So yeah, these are the things you need to consider. We want to make sure that we are getting the right guy in your house for doing your project. And so there's lots of ways, everybody always says, call previous contacts, look at their website, look at the reviews. But reviews can be posted in so many different places. It is super important. I get lots of calls that say, hey, can you send me a picture of, a pergola you built, or a deck that you've done, or a kitchen you remodel, or a tile work that I've done in a bathroom, or concrete we poured, or whatever it is. They want to see pictures. They want to know that we can do the work. Questions to ask when you're hiring a handyman or a contractor. We'll probably do a whole video on that all by itself at some point. But knowing exactly what it is you're looking for, and hey, have you ever had these problems? Looking up their license is another huge way to know too. If there's ever been dings, that they're making sure their license is legit and still active. I don't know how many times, you miss your license comes up, or you change your insurance or something, they don't send it to the state. Next thing you know, your license is actually non-active and you have no idea. And if you have a non-active license, your insurance won't cover it. So checking up on your contractor, checking up on your handyman is absolutely crucial. Handymen definitely have really great uses for lots of great things, but in most situations, even if you are a handyman, opening a contracting company opens up your horizons to be able to do more and do better. Once again, I'm Tim, and this is the Ask the Jacks platform. Please, if you can, ask your questions down in the comment below on this video. And we'll do our best to take questions and get them answered as often as we can. Our goal is to answer questions not just for homeowners or just contractors, but anybody, investors or whatever. You have a question about contracting businesses, specialty contracting businesses, what's the differences, or whatever. What kind of thing do you want to open, or who should you hire, or what kind of contractor does this, or design questions, or business practices, insurance questions. There's all kinds of things out there. I've been doing this for a long time, and I would love to help you. So anything you need help with, just go ahead and pop some questions down, and we'll pick some and over time and get them answered and make as many videos as we can for you guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch this thing all the way through, and look forward to helping you out with the next set of questions. Have a great day.